I'm Professor Seth Frey, and I want to discuss for a second the delicate subject of feeling worthy to code. Now, this maybe sounds a little funny, but there's lots of feelings associated with programming if you have no exposure to it and never thought you'd have any exposure to it. There's a feeling of intimidation. I've experienced trouble like literally sitting still, sitting down long enough to get anything done. There's doubts about what it takes and uncertainty about that, and there's questions about why to do it and if you're worthy to do it. So I want to just tackle these one by one and put you on as confident a foundation as possible as we get through the term. I want to make this accessible and friendly and good for you. Maybe you don't need a pep talk. Maybe you do. If you do, this is for you. So let's start with the intimidation. Maybe you thought, that's not how I think, or I'm bad at math, or I've got to be good at it. None of those things are true. How you think is how you practice thinking, and I'm teaching you a new way of thinking. You're supposed to learn new things. This is one of them. I'm bad at math. There's math in code, but math was always kind of ungrounded. There wasn't a point. It didn't do anything. When you can tap into the motivation, the thing you're doing, a thing you're building that has effects in the world, when you can close the feedback loop on your little tweak here and then something that occurred that you can watch, it's a completely different way of thinking and one that's a lot easier to get a handle on. And let's see, I have to be good at it. We'll get to that. You don't have to be good at it. So, just to make this personal, when I started, I had to teach myself to program. A lot of people who know taught themselves, just sort of had to figure it out. Thrown in the deep end, figuring it out. So I was put in that position myself, and one big thing that undermined my confidence was this weird thing that would happen. I'd be sitting for like 2 minutes. I would just write like a couple little characters, and I'd get super antsy and fidgety. I was getting paid too. I was paid to code with no experience. I literally was getting paid. I was taking a walk around the block every 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I felt like I was going crazy. It was hard. And what was hard about it wasn't necessarily for me the thinking, but literally just sitting still. It was like, ugh! I got amped and I didn't know what to do. It felt normal, or it felt totally abnormal, and I just had to kind of get used to it. I learned, essentially. Practice made it possible for me to sit still long enough to get anything done and sort of be worth what I was getting paid. You know, it can still be undermining or frustrating. You do have to want to learn these skills and make them a part of who you are. So there is some motivation that's necessary to be in place, maybe, if you're having a lot of kind of physical and psychic troubles getting into it. But you will not be the first to have gotten through it. It is possible. It is doable for you. So let's talk about what it takes to get these skills. There is a steep learning curve. There is such a thing as aptitude. There's some people who sort of take to it more easily than others. But there's no myth. You don't have to start young. You don't have to start when you're like 2 with ballet. I didn't learn until my 20s, mid-20s. And more important than aptitude or anything is just practice. Now, there's a good metaphor here that gets us into why to do it. Being good is irrelevant. Let's take a comparison to something a lot less loaded. You don't have to be good at driving a car to drive a car, to be recognized as a car driver legally, to get hired to drive a car, to have a car do really useful things in your life. And there's no shame around being bad at driving a car. If you're bad at driving and someone says you're bad, you're like, yeah, I'm bad. Buckle up. It's the same with code. There's some people who are amazing at it. There's some people who, can get by and do stuff. And it's okay. There's no shame in being that person. If you like it, if you're getting things out of it, then great. Don't let code be more romantic or mysterious or terrifying or mystifying than driving. I don't know how my car works, but I can drive it. I can get from one place to another, even though I'm kind of awful. So, feeling one of the biggest obstacles for a lot of people is just feeling like they could do it. So you don't have to feel intimidated. You're not alone. no matter what you're going through, whether it's physical or you don't think you're smart enough or whatever, what it takes more than anything else is practice. And there's plenty of reason to do it for yourself. You don't have to do it for anyone else. You'll get a lot. You can get a lot out of it personally. So hopefully that puts you on a good foundation to start. If you had any concerns that you weren't up for this, I think you are, and it's super important to me to make you feel that way too.